Welcome back to FilmFloggers. We review films and flog dead horses, so you don't have to. Is this week's film choice a complete waste of your viewing time? Much like flogging/beating dead horses, get it? Please head over to www.filmfloggers.com to check out all of our previous floggings. And while you're there, maybe hang out for a while, look around and vote for our next film. Click on vote, or visit www.filmfloggers.com/vote. Are you an idiot? If so, please check out our Idiot's Guide to Reviewing Us, where even a big dummy like you can leave us a red-hot review. Here at FilmFloggers, we pride ourselves on offering 1-star content with 5-star effort. Once on the website, please click on Idiot's Guide, or visit us at www.filmfloggers.com/review-us. That should have been Idiot's Guide. My fault, I didn't change the URL. Annoying. Once again, filmfloggers.com/review-us. Believe it or not, we now have a Patreon. I know what you're thinking. You have the audacity to ask us to pay to receive more of this. Pause for dramatic effect. Yes. We have a Patreon exclusive show called Nitpickers. I think you'll like it. Please visit www.filmfloggers.com/support-us. Again, that hyphen is annoying, should have removed it. Or head straight to our Patreon page. Patreon.com/filmwafflers. No idea why I did film wafflers. Another mistake. Where you can support us for as little as £1 British or $1.50. And while you're on the website, punch that big purple subscribe button and tell a friend about the vlog. Wife, husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, mistress, your nan, granddad, your kids. They can tell their friends. They can tell their friends at school about the vlog. But in all seriousness, this really helps the podcast grow and enables us to enrich or ruin the lives of the hundreds of millions of earlobes we haven't reached yet. Happy Halloween, everyone. Cheers.
All right, well, do you want to just make a start then? Some fucking... All right, hello, Ben.
Yeah, cool. Hi, Tom. Yeah, how you doing?
Hello. Sorry, that was quite loud. Yeah, we're doing some zombie or zombie flesh eaters. I don't really know what this.
Well, there's all sorts of names, isn't there? I think there's zombie flesh eaters. I think there's Woodoo, maybe bit of Woodoo.
Well, isn't it juju? Don't they call it juju or something in the film? They talk about the juju man.
Oh, do they? Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe. Don't know. Maybe I misheard.
Zombi too. Yeah.
Zombi.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know whether is that plural. No, I don't. That is plural zombies, is it?
Well, because I think didn't Fulci do Zombie, and I think the thing with this is that it was sold as a sequel to Dawn of the Dead. It was like a marketing ploy to say, "Oh, this.
Oh yeah.
This is the sequel to Dawn of the Dead." So that's why this is called Zombi 2.
Right.
Something like that.
Okay. I mean, it must have been like a prequel to the Dawn of the Dead because, you know, the zombies have already invaded it. We're already there.
It was just a marketing ploy, yeah. So people go, "Oh, really?" And they watched it and were like, "Well, hang on, how's this working?"
Yeah.
I think Fulci didn't want it to be called that. Maybe. This is a scroll of the IMDb, and this is like 10 seconds worth of bullshit. So,
oh yeah,
I think the studio were like, "Oh, you know, how can we get some quick money in here? How can we fool people? Let's just call it that and go, Dawn of the Dead, Italian horror." Ooh.
Yeah.
So
an Italian horror is the key here. I mean, it's an Italian horror film. Lucio Fulci. Is that how am I saying that name right?
Is it Sorry, did I say Fulci? Fulci. Is it Fulci?
Oh, I don't know. Lucio Fulci.
Fulci.
I've got no idea. This is a total guess.
Yeah, I think Fauci's the medical bloke in America. I don't think it's him. I don't think he was making this.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's him.
No.
And it's not Fulci either. I think it's Fulci.
Fulci.
I'm gonna guess is how you say his name. This is one of the more well-known video nasties. Is that fair to say? I think it is.
I imagine so, yeah, you'd think. Yeah. It's got some pretty nasty stuff in it.
It does. 1979, which I had to remind myself throughout that I was watching a film from the 1979 because, you know, even though some of it seems a bit wooden, well, a lot of it seems pretty wooden, it's pretty cutting edge for the time and the practical effects work. It's effective.
What's your history with Fulci? Like, have you got a lot of Fulci in the back catalogue?
I feel like I've seen... So, who did... it wasn't him. I think I've seen a bit of New York Ripper.
Yeah.
Dog shit. As far as I'm just not getting anything out of it, to be honest. I'm not really getting that much from I don't know whether you call these like exploitation films, which are effectively nasty for the sake of nastiness. They're effectively just trying to push, but they're basically just sort of, going over taboos that no one else would really touch. They were trying to sell a commercial film.
I think it sits in this Giallo genre.
What is that?
I think it's characterised by gore, graphic violence,
Sexual violence.
some eroticism, yeah, that kind of stuff. Trippy stuff, dreamlike sequences, not sure what's real and what's not, all that stuff. And
right.
I'm guessing intensive kind of scores, explosive
Right.
music.
Like electronic music?
Well, maybe the old synthesizer comes out, maybe. But stuff like this, where you get certain scenes where the music really kicks in, which I think in this film, in Zombi, I think is quite effective, actually. The soundtrack's actually really good. But I think that's what old Jello...
That's what characterises it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, well...
something to that effect.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I think it's... ultimately, I'm speaking from the perspective of someone in 2021, but I just find it slightly boring whenever it's like all this film is trying to do is shock me. And we're 40 years down the line, and some of the stuff in these films is still quite shocking and uncomfortable, but I don't think I haven't got the appetite that I used. And when I was younger, I used to be all over stuff like that. I used to be all over stuff that was like shocking and edgy and unpleasant. But now I just, to be honest, there's enough like shocking stuff you see every day just in the day job. I don't really need it when I'm watching a film in the evening.
You're getting a daily Zombi over there, are you?
I'm seeing stuff that's infinitely more heinous than anything Fulci could put in front of me on a daily basis at work.
You're getting daily doses of eye gouging on splintered doors.
I'm seeing all sorts of craziness
Right. Yeah.
playing out in the real world that I just don't really... some woman getting her eyeball blown out on a door is neither here nor there for me. And then he goes, what about... I mean, there's no rape in this, but, a New York Ripper full of just sexual violence. And I'm just like, okay, there's a woman getting raped.
It's old Giallo.
Do we need a bit of that?
Giallo. Bit of Giallo, you see?
What's Giallo? You're going to have to explain this terminal. I mean, you're talking about...
It's a subgenre of cinema. It's...
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed.
It's Italian. It's, what we just said about the graphic violence and the eroticism.
Exactly.
There's a big buzz at the moment. This will come out in October of Malignant from James Wan.
Oh, yeah. Apparently it fucking stinks, that film.
Don't say that on Twitter. Fucking hell. I think you'd get hung, drawn and quartered.
Oh, why? Is it really taken off?
Well, I'm sure it's got people who are going like, I didn't like it. I think there's some Fulci going on here.
Okay.
In terms of like it's the atmosphere, and I think maybe I've not seen it, but I think there's a lot of sort of trippy, dreamlike stuff going on.
Is it like Argento-esque?
Argento as well is in there. Yeah, I think these two directors are with Argento as well. I think. Well, again, I've not seen a great deal of Argento, so like
No. I've seen a bit though. I think I get it. I mean, I don't. I mean, Argento's a lot more dreamlike than this Fulci bloke. I mean, Fulci's big on the whole, close up of a rubber neck getting torn open. But in terms of trippy imagery, I don't think it's it's not, the foundation is not so much in the trippy imagery as at Argento.
Yeah, I don't think Argento's all about the gore. I think old Lucio here is a lot more about shock and gore. I think Argento's, as you said, is a bit more on the trippiest.
Dreamlike. What about the guy? So the other film that I feel would fall under this category as well. I watched a film recently called Demons and I don't know who directs that, but that's another Italian director, I feel, and I think it's either late 70s, well, probably 80s, Demons. Let me just check that.
Demons,
and it's about basically, it's another one of these where basically the actors, I think, almost are Italian, but then they've dubbed it over in English. It's one of these.
Oh, we should say the dubbing on this film is absolutely grotesque.
Oh, we'll get there, but this is it. So it's the Lamberto Bava, 1985.
Of course.
Dario Argento presents Demons. So
right.
I feel like this Lamberto chappie is part of this crew as well. Yeah, he's from Rome.
Well, mate, it's the old Giallo again. It's a Giallo fest over there.
So I understand. How are you spelling that? Giallo.
I think it's spelled. I think I've got it on my notes actually. I think it's spelled Giaallo, maybe.
Right.
I think.
Okay. Well, that's what this is. So it's some Giallo. Yeah.
Giallo.
Nice. So we're in the realm of the Giallo, and what we're basically saying is we're no pros, but I think I can tell my Fulcis from my Argentos. Yeah, and then if I bring over my man Lamberto,
Yeah.
he is also getting in on this, and he also looks like he has a thirst for human flesh. All right, well, anyway, I mean, that's good.
Argento, what have you got for anything for a Suspiria? I know, of course. I've seen Deep Red. I think Deep Red's pretty good. It's pretty good. I think that's maybe considered one of his best ones. Probably worth looking at.
Is it his most accessible? Personally, and now I know it's very cutting edge, and I know there's a lot in it which is, to be admired, but, Suspiria for me just goes absolutely nowhere.
Oh, no, I'm not on board with Suspiria at all. No.
I mean, people talk about the soundtrack, which I get,
It's one of those where you can watch and you can go like, yeah, I'm getting it in the sense that people go, oh, this is so fucking good. But no, I didn't get much from it, no.
No. It feels almost like an arts and crafts fest for me. And I'm not really, that's not really what I'm looking for from a horror film. But, agreed that it's not for me. It's just not my bag.
Well, yeah, I think we should look at some Argento. Maybe not Suspiria, maybe some Deep Red, or he's got...
What's the one that he's got Jennifer Connelly in? What's that called?
Oh. He's got a film called Opera that I remember seeing quite a while ago, and I think that was pretty heavy, actually. Lots of sort of needles in people's eyes and stuff. That was...
Oh, really?
That was pretty well done.
It's Phenomena. Phenomena is the one he's got. He's got a very young Jennifer Connelly in, so I've seen that as well.
He's got Tenebrae, which I haven't seen. I think, again, is apparently pretty good.
But then again, people said that Suspiria was very good. So we just have to be
a
little bit cautious.
Well, it'd be interesting to talk about something else that's not Suspiria.
It would.
Because
I agree.
That's the one that comes to mind straight away.
We need to have a look at some Argento because, we're meant to be horror people, but, neither of us have seen more than about one or two Argentos. It's not very good.
Well, and also we whinge about horror, modern horror, and we're like, God, they just don't make good horror films anymore, do they? It's fucking shit.
It's like, so tell us, guys, what made a good horror film back in the 80s?
The Fog? Friday the 13th, part 4?
Yeah, very, very limited. This guy over here is talking about Friday the 13th, part 8, but yet he's never seen any Argento. What's he doing?
Me and Dan Machholz have recently recorded Jason Takes Manhattan, a.k.a. Jason Takes Vancouver. It was all bloody filmed in Vancouver, so... Yeah, no, fuck Argento. No, we're doing some Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yeah, that's where it's really at. I need to meet old Machholz. I feel like he's become, you've done quite a lot of collabs with him now, and I feel like I'd like to just see, not that I'm getting edgy or anything.
You want to see the Machholz? I don't think you do.
Well, I'd like to at least meet Machholz. I'd like to know who we're dealing with.
Well, we've got this long-awaited Star Wars episode ready to go.
Oh, God, yeah. But then that means I have to watch Star Wars.
Oh, dear. Don't let Machholz hear you say that.
No. I know. I'll approach it in a very impartial. I'll be very impartial. I won't be going into it with any biases. But I need to be in the right. I need to be going through a time in my life where I can watch Star Wars with a completely clear head.
Right.
So I just need to get it right. The timing needs to be right.
Well, let's try and get that done this year, maybe.
Yeah,
we're in September as we record, so maybe we'll try and dump that out. I think Machholz would enjoy that.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Well, I say that he may not because he may have two people going like Star Wars, shrugging the shoulders, and I think he may get a bit upset.
Oh no, but he sounds rational enough that provided we're not just sitting there being obnoxious, he'll be able to defend his position.
Oh yeah. I think if we can back up what we're saying, if we're saying look,
yes,
not getting Star Wars, if we turn up and go, do you know what, Machholz? I think Star Wars is dog shit. I think that's when he's got a problem. Yeah, I think he may get a bit upset with that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, mate, Zombi, please.
Yeah, returning back to the Fulci, I feel like I've seen a bit of the Beyond. There's one where someone starts throwing up their own insides, and I think that might be the Beyond.
Oh, dear. You all right there, Fiona?
Well, you're not exactly recording then, are you?
Well, of course I am.
Well, I have to make my eggs. You're meant to start at 6:30, so...
Uh-huh.
That's all right.
Right, yeah, please, Tom, continue.
So there is. I feel like there is a Fulci where someone starts throwing up their own inside in a car, and I don't know whether that's the Beyond or what it is.
Oh, the Beyond's another one as well, actually. Yeah.
Now, do you know what I'm talking about by that?
Not really, but I was going to suggest doing the Beyond, but I thought maybe. I was thinking about doing a zombie film, so I was like, well, Zombi, I've never seen it. I've heard about some of the scenes that are reasonably iconic, or well known. So
Hang on. Just let me. I'm just going to get this right, because there is a film in which someone is in a car with a woman, and all of a sudden this creepy presence appears at the bonnet of the car, and this guy then, I think the woman dies or something, or she runs out, and he then looks at this figure and then proceeds to regurgitate his own insides.
right.
And I feel it's part of this. It's part of this series of films.
Well, mate, we've got plenty of time this morning. Please check it out. Let me know what it is.
Okay, I don't know. I can't find it. But anyway, it's there. There is a film in which that happens.
That's Fulci.
I think it might be, or it might be Argentos, or it might be the bloke who did Demons. I don't know, but it's one of them. I think it might be Fulci.
Oh, so you're telling me it's Giallo? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, it's Jello.
It's
Jello.
It's some Jello.
It's
right.
the Jello. Yeah.
Okay, that's all I need to
It's
hear.
that.
It's as long as it's Jello, I'm good.
Yeah, don't panic. I'm not miles off topic. I am staying within Jello. Before you start losing, leaving your chair.
Before I start getting nippy.
Yeah, it's all right. All right. Well, I mean, I don't really. I mean, as a result, we've basically said we're completely ignorant to Fulci's work and really very much about Jello.
Yes.
So, I mean, I feel like just talking on Zombie. Now, I've seen this a couple of times. I've seen this a while ago. I think we were potentially going to record this some time ago. I feel like we said, let's do a Zombie Flesh Eaters, and I'd watched it. I'd rented it from Amazon, and so then watching it again, I felt reasonably comfortable with the material. It's just fairly straight. I mean, there's no, I'm not falling off my chair at any moment in terms of plot twists. It's all pretty straightforward.
To be honest, I wasn't blown away by the shark stuff. In the sense, I can see it's very well done. It's a man, wrestling an actual shark. So it's like, oh yeah, okay, that's interesting. Obviously,
Yes.
I imagine the shark was sedated or whatever. So
Well, I've absolutely no idea how they did that, to be honest.
yeah, well, I'm guessing whoever the bloke is who wrestled the shark had some experience with the shark.
Shark handling.
Yeah, and the shark was sedated to a point. Like, it's effective. It turns into a little bit of like a cuddling match. But I think just the visuals of seeing a man dressed as a zombie fighting a shark.
At the bottom of the sea.
At the bottom of the sea.
Totally practical.
Yeah, the music really sells it.
Dun, 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 dun. Sorry.
Music and scores and stuff within films, a lot of the time they turn a scene which is good into something that's like, really memorable. It's pretty standard stuff, but I think the music really sells it in that scene. And also, the other scene that really stood out to me was when the conquistadors rise, from the dead. They rise from their graves, and the music really kicks in there, and that's really good. I think that's probably one of the best zombie scenes I've seen. Actually, I think that was really well done. That was good. That zombie that comes up looks unbelievable. I think the practical effects are completely on point with this. I think they're really, really good. They hold up remarkably well.
I agree.
And I think with zombie films, if you start throwing CGI around in zombie films, I think you've got a big fucking problem. Because I think zombie films are one of those things where you don't ever you should ever have to have zombie films that are riddled with CGI.
I agree. Yeah.
It's the most simplest concept. To be fair to a lot of zombie films, even more modern day ones, I think they keep it reasonably practical. A CGI one that comes to mind is the World War Z.
Oh, fuck me.
Yeah, which is a pretty dog shit film, but the scene of the zombies piling up to try and reach the helicopter, of course it's an absolute explosion of CGI. But it looks okay. It looks okay. Like, the actual shot is like, oh, that's kind of something a little bit different.
Yeah, but it's a film. It's a film about the end of the world, and it's a 12.
Yeah, it's 12. Yeah.
I mean, like,
yeah.
oh man,
Yeah, Brad Pitt.
oh dear, we're in trouble. Oh no.
I don't think it's a particularly good film.
Well, it's just I just think something like a World War Z is just corporate puke. I mean, it's just vomit.
Oh yeah. Going into the idea of these hordes of zombies, I also like from this film just that you don't really get that. You're not getting hordes of zombies. You're just getting, singular zombies. And I think that's quite effective. It's a bit of a thriller type thing with that, the hunting, there's that zombie.
Thriller?
That zombie outside, hand on the window going like, ugh.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's like, oh dear, God, here we go. Yeah, this is quite good.
Well, they're like stalking zombies.
Yeah, I like that.
And as well, I mean, when you say you like the practical effects with the zombies and you like the close-ups, ultimately, all these zombies are meant to be, they're real people who have died in very different ways, and, they've been in the ground. So the way they've died, which is all evidenced through their makeup, you can kind of see how they've died. You can see the rate at which they've decomposed, how they've decomposed. It should change between them. There should be difference between every single one of them. And if there is, it brings it out more. It characterizes them individually a lot more. It makes the enemy a lot more, just a lot richer than just having basically a Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V situation where you've just got your standard zombie template. You know, one of them's got their tits out, another one's got his trousers off, another one's got a load of blood on his face. They're the three models. Let's just copy and paste them literally all over let's have them coming out of the bloody toilet bowl.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Coming out of the fridge. Yeah. Well, that's what you get, don't you? You get with more. Well, you know, as I said, you know, there's not. I'm trying to think of like dog shit zombie films that have sort of modern day. Yeah, like we just said, World War Z was not good.
Did you watch that Zack Snyder one?
Oh, the Army of the Dead or Army of the Dead. It looks CGI heavy. There's plenty of CGI. I've not seen it, but then you know he did Dawn of the Dead, which I think actually
it's great. Yeah.
I think it's top notch, and I think it's superior to the original.
Oh yeah, I agree. The Dawn of the Dead's probably my favourite, but barring 28 Days Later, I think is probably the best.
Well, you know,
for me,
what have you got for zombie stuff? You know, very quickly, what's your history with zombie films? Are you a fan of the genre?
Yeah, well, I like George A. Romero. I mean, I like Night of the Living Dead. Obviously, you know, it started it off. It is what it is. It's a fairly stripped down, basic sort of exercise in introducing the zombie genre. But it's, you know, obviously it's a very important film. Dawn of the Dead. I wasn't going absolutely crazy for Dawn of the Dead. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't absolutely blown away. But yeah, you know, it serves it brings it kind of carries the concept further. And then A Day of the Dead I like. I think Day of the Dead's really good. And I think Day of the Dead's, well, Dawn of the Dead also did it, but Day of the Dead especially, with George A. Romero zombie films, I always feel like there is an additional subtext there. Like, it's not just about, oh, you know, the dead have risen from the grave. It's all about how do people react? How do the survivors react in a post-apocalyptic world? So you've got the horror of the zombies, but then you've also got the horror that plays out amongst the survivors. You know, you get the corruption and all of the various unpleasantness that ensues there. So that's an interesting aspect that runs throughout a lot of George A. Romero's films, and then also is then a central theme of 28 Days Later. You know, you've got the horror of the infected, but then you've got the horror of the army and how corrupt they've become. And I feel it's that additional bit of texture which I think makes those really standout horror zombie films.
I think that's the sign of an effective zombie film, is it? Where you think, God, you know, where's the horror actually? Where is the horror? Is it more horrific outside, or is it actually more horrific inside?
I mean, something like this. I mean, this is not interested in the human. I mean, the human interactions here are completely. I mean, you know, the dialogue's horrendous, the acting's horrendous, and it's not interested in really the characters. It's just like, okay, right, I want to get a zombie facing off against a shark here, guys. Yeah. There's not a lot of character development. We're not here for that. We're not interested. We know the characters, most of them are going to get butchered at some point, so that's what we're there for. This whole 31 days that we're doing of horror, you know, you could easily have just done 31 days of zombie films. Solid like 15 to 20. You go like, these are really good. And then maybe like you get into the 20s, you're like, oh, you know, there's some good stuff here. I maybe probably enjoy this maybe a bit more than you. Yes.
There's a couple of scenes where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm all in on that. I think that's really, really good. As I said, I think in some ways it is quite hard to fuck up a zombie film because, you know, the concept is pretty straightforward. The makeup needs to be on point and the practical effects need to be done reasonably well. But you've got stuff like Brain Dead from old Peter Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's just absolutely explosive.
Oh, it's unbelievable, yeah. I mean, to be honest, like Bad Taste, you watch that and you look at you realise that he's behind all of those effects. He's behind that whole production. I mean, it's like that guy is like next level.
Oh, yeah.
He was making those models himself.
Yeah, he's reasonably talented, yeah.
He's a genius, that guy. Nuts. Anyway. There's
one cut of the dead. I don't know if you've seen that, came out recently.
Oh, is that was it Mexican or something?
Or it's Asian. The idea behind it is that it looks like it's a film. So it looks like there's an actual zombie outbreak, but they're actually filming a film.
Oh, right, okay.
It's like a comedy. It's a comedy.
Oh, it's a comedy.
It's pretty well put together. It's a little bit different.
Did you watch Train to Busan or Busan?
Busan. I did, yeah. Well, I think that's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, I got nowhere with that.
No?
No, I know. I watched it and it kept, because I like Korean films. I love Park Chan-wook and all that stuff. And that was and I like it. I like Tale of Two Sisters. Is that Kim Ji-woon guy who did like Bittersweet Life, Tale of Two Sisters, and then more recently did something. I saw the Devil.
Oh yeah. Oh Jesus, yeah. Oh yeah, that's heavy.
Yeah, and all this, and I was like, all right, well, I love that sort of stuff. And Train to Busan or whatever it's called kept coming up on searches, and I just found it. It just like a sort of K-poppy, it had a K-poppy look about it, and just wasn't scary.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think back on it now, and yeah, it is largely forgettable. I'm just trying to think of any scenes that I remember, and I think there are some decent set pieces, and the father and the daughter story with what happens to the father. I think that's reasonably well done. I think when I watched it at the time, I was like, yeah, it's action packed.
It's doing something, yeah.
I do like the fast moving zombies. There is certainly a place for the good old fashioned, arms out type ones.
But it's not grubby. But these films ultimately, the enemy is a rotting corpses. Well, in that case, they're not really because they're infected. But they're still, it's still there still should be an element of like body horror to all this stuff because whether they're rotting or whether they are just infected by something, there has to be a grubbiness in it. I think for it to be effective. Which there isn't in that. It's far too it's far too crisp. You look at something like 28 Days Later. Well, it looks like it's been doused in gasoline. Like it's absolutely, you have to have a shower after you finish watching it because everyone's dirty. There's no running water anymore, and everyone's just going mad.
The more zombies you get on screen, they're going to start suffering, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think Train to Busan, I don't think it's got like a huge amount of zombies on, but there are times when I think when they actually before they get on the train, well, there's fucking hundreds of them.
Oh, there's loads.
So it's going to suffer. Like you just, as you said, it's just generic makeup. You just slap a bit of blood on, slap a bit of fucking maggots on that one, off you go.
Yeah, you've got the templates almost, and you're just repeating them. Yeah, I don't know with zombie films. Yeah, no, it's an interesting. I mean, I'm trying to think. The other zombie film I watched was one called oh Christ. Oh, I forgot.
There's The Return of the Living Dead, which I think that's part comedy where it's not George A. Romero, he doesn't do that. Someone else.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. And I've seen that.
It exists in a universe where George A. Romero zombie films exist. And I think it's like sort of a riff on that where the zombies in the film don't die from like headshots and stuff, and it's a little bit of a different take on it, which I think I've seen it, I think.
There's a remake of Night of the Living Dead.
Yes.
Which came out, I feel it's like in the 80s or something, which I think's good, actually. It's got some quite good, like, close-ups of... I don't actually know... is that a shot-for-shot remake?
Oh, I don't know, actually.
Might not be.
I don't think it's a shot-for-shot, no.
No,
it's
close, it's very heavily based, and I enjoyed that. I thought that was good.
Tony Todd. Tony Todd's in that, isn't he? Candyman.
Yeah, I know he is, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Well, yeah, Night of the Living Dead, I think, at some point needs to probably be done, doesn't it? Just
yeah,
because,
it does, yeah.
Could you always just do the remake, why not? Just mix it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so basically what we're saying is there's some good zombie films out there. Some decent stuff. Resident Evil, what do you think? Get some Resident Evil on the go? Why not?
Yeah.
Bit of Umbrella? T-Virus?
I think it's a very, very valid genre and I like it, but what I probably enjoy more from these is whenever it introduces that element of, the survivors and what happens to them. I like that a bit more, whereas in this, I mean, like you've said, it's not interested in, you've got all these British-sounding male characters. I mean, you've got the British reporter who goes out to try and find out what's going on, who's this, like, lecherous, sort of wavy-haired creep show, who sort of spends he spends the first half of the film just trying to... Well, he's just a bit of a creep, isn't he? And then you've just got the doctor who's just got this wife who's, and it's all this dubbing. And, like, the relationship between the doctor and his wife. I mean, she's there just sort of... I've got to get off this island. You won't be happy until I'm one of your zombies. Like, shut up, you bitch. And then, like, slaps her across the face. I mean, that's the extent of their relationship.
Yeah, what's his name? Menard. Dr. Menard.
Dr. Menard.
Well, what's interesting with this is the idea that this goes back to the whole mythos and the mythology of the zombies, because there's a lot of voodoo chat going on.
Juju.
All you're hearing is, like, voodoo. They actually say juju, not voodoo.
I think they say juju. I think there is a thing in juju.
Right. There's a lot of juju voodoo chat going on. And it's like, all right, so that's what's... People are performing juju, and...
Yeah, there's a lot of babble.
The idea of zombies, it does originate in the juju, the voodoo stuff. Because in George A. Romero and other films, it's either like some form of infections hit the earth, or zombies are just coming back from the dead. And it's like, There's no reason given. It's just like,
they've
we've
just
got
had
zombies.
enough of sitting in the grave.
George A. does come out with that good line when he talks about when there's no room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. That's pretty effective. I like that.
So what he's saying is the only zombies that come back to life are the bad ones.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Well, it makes sense, yeah.
It does, yeah.
You get some zombie Hitler, walking around the place.
Yeah, walking around.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the no, I mean that's true, but yeah, this is very much a juju job. So I mean, there's really if you're grasping for something to sort of bring it back to the real world, there is none to be had. 28 Days Later talks about an infection which allows you to sort of, even cynics of horror, people who find it difficult to immerse themselves in a horror story because of just its detachment from reality. It kind of circumvents that by you going, okay, well, these people are effectively rabies-ridden crazies, and allows you to get through that potential barrier to entry. But this is just, look, guys, we've got a load of juju going on in some naff island.
Is it definitely juju?
They're the juju. Jiu, I think.
Right.
Let me have a look. I
thought they were just saying voodoo.
Maybe it isn't. Maybe I'm talking some absolute baloney.
Juju. I think one of the working titles was Woodoo.
Right, well, the way I've just spelled it there, repeated twice, is the mother's brother, maternal uncle in Chinese.
All right.
So there you go. Well, it's that.
Yeah. Well, of course.
Yeah, so we just ignore everything I've said. But there is definitely something juju. I don't know how you spell it.
It's not voodoo.
No.
No. All right.
Don't think so.
Well, what do you think? Right, so, yeah, I guess, briefly, we'll talk about the film. And, like, a couple of scenes, that stand out. Obviously, we talked about the shark film. The shark scene, obviously very good.
I think it's good, that. I think it's great. Whenever the way he walks backwards on a slight angle on the seabed, I think it's pretty good. I mean, I'm sitting there going, how in the name of God have they done this?
Oh, yeah. I think the opening scene's pretty good with the floating boat and the sea guards come out and you get this, like, ahoy there. It's quite funny. But I think that's quite creepy. It's like, oh, yeah, this is just boat. You're like, God, what's that? You know what's going to happen. But I think that's reasonably well done. I think that's a good start to the film. The fact that it's in New York Harbour and it's like, oh, okay, God, what's happened here? It's floated all the way to New York. Oh dear, that's not going to end well. So I think that's pretty effective. I think the ending shot of the zombies going across Brooklyn Bridge is like, yeah, that's pretty good. It's a bit jarring in the sense that the cars are just moving as normal. I think that was because they didn't have the money. So they could just shut down.
Yeah, there's still people like hailing taxis down below.
People off to work and stuff. So it's like, okay, but I think the idea of that is pretty good. And the news reporter guy going, oh, God, there's zombies everywhere in New York. God.
They're breaking in.
They're out the door.
They're in.
Coming in. Oh! Yeah. It sets up a sequel, doesn't it? It's like, oh, God, what happens? The zombies in New York. Fuck, yeah.
It's always nice at the end of these films whenever, because they are generally pretty nihilistic in like their messaging. I mean, the zombie film is never really resolved. There's never really a nice, okay, we've eradicated the problem. It's always that, it's almost, because, it's one of these, again, where you can only connect with the audience if you focus on a very small group of people. But this experience at the end is always then magnified. It's always then like, okay, so you followed these people's story and hopefully it's moved you in some way. And now we're going to leave you by just multiplying this and saying this is actually happening everywhere. This is now a worldwide thing, which kind of just then opens it up a bit and makes you go, oh, Christ. But obviously, if they attempt to try and show what's going on a bigger scale, as in World War Z, there's absolutely nothing really, unless you're absolutely compelled by Brad Pitt's journey. Seeing too much pan out is bad for the zombie film. Too much scale is bad for the zombie film because you can't connect with you can't connect with the stories. Can't connect with the experience.
You need that tension, don't you? There's a lot of tension in this film. It's creepy, it's unsettling. Like I think you need that. If you're just getting hordes and hordes of CGI zombies, it's like, I don't want to see this junk.
Yeah.
I want to be sort of, I want it to be, unnerving. I want them to go around corners and they're hearing like
yeah,
oh, Christ, it's somewhere. I don't know where it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Just hordes and hordes of CGI zombies. It's like, yeah, there's another 100. Great.
Hopeless.
We touched upon it earlier, and I think you made a good point about the idea of getting groups of people from all different walks of life, different ethnicities, different ages. I think Night of the Living Dead captures that idea very well. Dawn of the Dead does that pretty well. All these different sorts of people stuck in the shopping mall. The pregnant woman, that's pretty explosive. The baby, that's...
Yeah, explosive.
Pretty terrible. obviously the security guys, Vin Rhymes, the arsehole bloke who's like a complete piece of shit, the woman. And then you also get the idea of like the guy in the gun shop putting the fucking signs up. That was done really well, actually.
Oh, it's class. I mean, and as well, like, it's interesting to watch how, the guy who's just a bit of an arsehole, bit of a misogynist at the start, as the thing goes on and everyone starts going a bit nuts, they start actually becoming quite sinister, these guys. And it's just watching people really becoming quite unpleasant. And it's an interesting development to watch how people. It's like it's an exercise in how do these people behave once law and order and all of the kind of civilization is gone. Whenever it is just we're back to where survival is the ultimate goal and there's no law and order.
Your survival instinct kicks in, doesn't it? That's the thing. It's at the end of the day, however bad the situation is, you still want to be sitting there going like, there must be a way out of this.
You like to think that you keep your civilization. And it's like where the true hero emerges. You get the Vin Rhymes in Dawn of the Dead. And, in all these films, then the hero comes through. But no, it's an interesting exercise. But yeah, I mean, on this, there isn't really any of that. But in terms of scenes that stand out, I mean, shark scene for me is good. The opener, like you say, is good. The scene where all these dead are rising from the ground is very well done. There's also a good scene, I think, where you see it's about halfway through, and it's basically the camera is stationary on a road in an old, in an abandoned little village with a few shacks, and you just see a zombie, or what you think is a zombie, walking very slowly through the centre of this place, and a little crab crawls across. It's just like it's a kind of dreamlike, nightmarish scene. It's effective.
Yeah, and of course the eye gouging scene. Again, it's a little bit exploitative and stuff, but it's good. It's unbelievable.
I mean, it worked. Like, it's nasty. Yeah, it's like, oh, God.
It's like slow-mo. It takes its time. It's like, oh, my God. Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that fucking eye's going to blow out.
Yeah. And it does.
And I think, again, it looks unbelievable.
It does look good, yeah.
We've spoken about CGI. We're not CGI guys. I just can't stand CGI.
Who is a CGI person?
My biggest thing with CGI, I was thinking about this the other day, is that surely, you want to be immersed in the experience of a film, don't you? Like, you want to be...
CGI.
Every time I see fucking CGI, it takes me out of the experience.
Oh, completely.
I can accept practical effects and maybe accept CGI if it didn't completely take me out of the film. Surely, using CGI in some ways...
Should enhance.
I can maybe accept it on a scale that when we're in space... and we're doing things that just aren't possible or would cost a fucking buttload of money and would just be, almost undoable practically. I can buy that. Try and make it as good as possible. All right, fine. Like Gravity. Well, that looks unbelievable, that stuff. I know that's practical, but there's obviously some CGI in there. They're not actually in space.
Oh, what?
I can buy that. But it's just the CGI that looks so dog shit. You're like, well, yeah, it's just a bit of computer dog shit over there. It's taking me out of the film. No. That's what gets me. I want to be immersed in the experience. Every time I see a bit of wobbly CGI on screen, I'm like, oh, that's me. I'm checked out. Cheers.
And there's nothing more frustrating than giving something of yourself to a film and getting emotionally attached, and then being smacked in the face with some nasty CGI.
A recent example of this, which just popped into my head, I don't know if we've spoken about this on the podcast. I know we've both seen it, but Under the Shadow. And they decided to use a bit of CGI. Oh, again, it just took me out of the experience completely. Great film, but just no.
This is just for context, if no one's seen this is a Middle Eastern horror film. I think it's is it in Israel or something? Oh, no, I'm going to totally maybe Syria, I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those, yeah.
Wait a minute. Let's get this right, because we can edit that potential attempt to get this right. And
Iraq? Is it Iraq?
It could be, couldn't it? Wait a minute. Yeah, it's it's Iran, Iraq. So
right,
it could be
right.
Iraq.
Iran,
Let's say
right.
Iraq.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, Under the Shadows. Set in Iraq, I think, and Middle Eastern, and basically, yeah, it's just like generally pretty compelling. It is a horror film, but it's ultimately about the mother and child living under, the threat of destruction. The bombs are falling. It's effectively a blitz type situation, and they're living in this constant state of just agonizing fear. And then, are these supernatural things which seem to be unfolding? Are these just a manifestation of this woman's terror, or is this something actually untoward going on? And yeah, it's compelling. It's the mother-son. It's set in the backdrop of a real life conflict. There's all that. So here we go. We're absolutely on it here. This is a really interesting exercise in, the human condition. The woman goes into the bedroom, looks under the bed, and what have you got? You've got some CGI figure in a bloody like Top Man hoodie.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame.
And that's it. And you just go, oh God, oh no.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Well, that's yeah.
I don't know what else to say. Like, what a shame.
I wouldn't go as far as saying it ruins the film, but it's just like, oh no.
It was so unnecessary.
You can dissect it, but it's just, oh no, that's a shame. That is a real bloody shame, that.
Yeah. And so unnecessary. I mean, that scene probably took, they probably had to hire in a couple of like specialist techies to do that.
Yeah, that's where the budget's gone. It's gone under the bed in the Top Man hoodie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get, final thought. Oh, the thing about this film, like, I don't know if we spoke about it enough, but we've highlighted some of the good scenes, and there's no point talking about the story because, like, who cares? They end up on some Caribbean island full of zombies.
There's nothing to it.
It's fine. Okay. The barn scene, when we do get more of like a few zombies turn up, I think that's pretty good. I think that's been copied in like video games and other films where you get into a barn and final showdown, mocktail of cocktails and all that stuff. I think, again, I think there's some really good stuff in it. It's obviously a bit of a cheese fest. It's a bit silly, but I think the practical effects again are just, unbelievable. Really iconic scenes. And I think it was enjoyable. I had a good time with it. I think it was good. And I think we've highlighted that there's all sorts of films you could do in the zombie genre. There's plenty. I think it's a solid genre. And the whole, Giallo, I think is I think is good.
Yeah, Jello for sure. Well, you've summarised it there. I haven't really got anything else to say. It's not interested in the characters. There's no point talking about that. It's not interested in the story. It's just a series of really quite well done set pieces that are quite iconic in the genre, and give it a watch.
I think the makeup guy, I can't remember his name, De Rossi something. I think he was involved with High Tension, Switchblade Romance.
Oh, really?
I think he did a bit of that. I think he did a bit of Dune. Dune, that explosive sci-fi stuff.
Dune. Yeah. No, I haven't seen it. I know Denis Villeneuve is doing.
I think that's out now actually. Yeah, I think, or it's out soon. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, looks interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Good. Good film.
Excellent.
Enjoyable to talk about. Zombies. Just keep them practical if we can. Let's just keep those fucking zombies practical. Get a good mixture of running, standard walking zombies. I'm good. Do whatever you want. Just keep that CG off screen.
Keep it practical. Okay. Right.
Cheers.
Goodbye.
Right, okay. Tell everyone. God.
So you can find us on the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, and on TikTok. But Ben doesn't usually use TikTok that much anymore. Because
does someone have a child?
And if you'd like to leave a review, please like, share, and comment. And you can find us on all the podcasts and sites. Good Pods.
Good Pods, yeah. Podchaser. Obviously Apple. There's always
Spotify
always
stuff.
Room for a review there.
Yep.
Send in your 15 seconds.
15-second reviews.
I forgot about that on the last episode.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome to What's Our Seat Number. If you're listening to this trailer, you're deciding whether or not you're going to listen to this podcast.
Good.
But chances are we've lost you already.
Wait, what? No, come on now. What?
Well, I mean, it takes what, like 10 seconds for people
You're
to lose
being
interest in things?
defeatist.
I'm
You're
not
being
being
defeatist.
defeatist. They've
You
gone
are.
already. It's for naps.
Well, now they are because we started arguing, so we've both sort of driven them out.
Well, go on
just
then.
go on to
Tell the dead air who we are.
Okay, the dead air,
The dead air.
the cadaver.
The people who aren't listening anymore.
I'm taking control. You introduce yourself, and then I'll introduce myself, and then we'll talk a little bit about what we're doing, all right? It's going to sound more professional that way. Go.
Okay. I'm Johnny Gross. I'm a filmmaker and a film fan and fanatic and obsessive.
Good. Very good. That was very well done. Very professional. You sounded like you're in control and almost like you know who you are.
All right then, and who are you?
I'm Sai. I'm a 3D artist and a game designer, a film fan. I'm your brother as well.
Really?
So we're going to be talking about some of our favourite movies and hopefully some of yours as well. There's going to be trivia behind the scenes.
Do you want to tell the listeners why we've called this podcast What's Our Seat Number?
You really came to the right person with fielding this question because I feel that I can take this story and really bring it to life. Okay, so one time we went to go and see a film in the cinema and I asked, what's our seat number?
Fantastic.
fantastic.
Was it good?
Yeah.
I did it for you.
That's great.
If you want to hear more, you can check out the rest of our episodes. We're hosted by Podbean, but you can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music or Audible, TuneIn, Alexa, Listen Notes, and now on iHeartRadio, Player FM, and Podchaser. So pretty much wherever you get your podcasts. Please don't forget to review, like, and rate, and keep listening, because the more you listen, the more we'll be able to produce. Bye.
Ta-ta.